Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Christopher Bone, and I'm on a new episode of basically just trying to explain, and describe and explain exactly how to get straight to the point with these certain things, and these things are facts. These things called facts. Facts. It's the very foundation, for example, of any good debate. And the most important thing the wonderful thing about facts is that it's important that I'm just going to follow my intuition here, is that we know about the truth. And one of the most important truths are, I guess, is the example that is Keystone Tower is tumbling down. It's a great example because what is it? It was a controlled demolition. That's exactly what 9/11 was. Controlled demolition. Haven't told this to many people, but I might as well broadcast it now just to tell the truth. But I had a vision, or not a vision. I don't have visions. I had a dream when I was like 9. No, I was when I was 5, and that there's these. It was all white, and there's these two really big buildings, and then I saw planes flying to the. Well, I saw fire trucks everywhere, and then I looked up and I saw these two buildings, and then planes flew into the buildings, and then I woke up and the dream was over, and then 3 years later, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, when I was 8 years old, that is when 2001, September 11th, 2001 happened, and then I was like, oh. And of course, my mom survived that. And the point is, I know a lot about that, and you can actually read it in my book that's going to be coming out soon. The book it's really a thesis. It's called Project Hypercane, but not that this is about the book, more just about the truth and really understanding of how we can truly be free with the truth that will set you free. More about how we can defend liberty and freedom and how important that is in these times now versus ever. For our posterity, for ourselves, for our children, and for our future. Especially when we have globalists and control, or struggling to keep control, and tyrants struggling to keep control with medical, political, economic, and social tyranny. So, once again, I really, really, really love the way that this was broken down, and I really don't mean to jump to the next conclusion so quickly, because once again, this, I believe, should be based around getting straight to the point, which ultimately stemmed from 9/11, which my book goes really into great detail. So I'm going to really describe how to really, once again, ultimately navigate back to, in a sense, unity, which was divided at that infamous day. So, on that infamous day. So, modernism versus postmodernism. Once again, I think it was a very important point that was brought up. I'm going to bring it up, Infowars.com by David Knight. Very, very, very good point of, debate and analysis, which is cemented in truth, versus postmodernism which is based upon subjectivity and opinion in order to basically have say so. And that's exactly what the difference is between the mainstream medias and, in a sense, bringing it back to 9/11 understanding versus the truth with actual debate and analysis. And what I know, and what is actually described in the book, is that it was a circumventing, which actually makes a lot of sense, a circumventing and the ending of, and try to disrupt the announcement of NESARA, the true NESARA. And trust me, there's a lot of disinformation out there. And once again, it's important, like, if you do your own research and you know how to do research, I mean, you're like a smart researcher, for lack of a better way to phrase that. You know what NESARA is, the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. That was sabotaged by George Bush, who wanted to sabotage the meeting by sabotaging, that entire meeting, which was supposed to do many wondrous things, such as bring about peace throughout the entire world, basically end the corruption in the Federal Reserve, basically have a surplus, all that money that was illegally, basically, long story short, illegally taken from by globalist interests, is going to be returned back to the people, large, very large sums, and that patents that were illegally classified would be put back for the general public, and those were sonic healing technologies, free energy technologies, and what we call anti-gravity. So now that is a huge disruption, which is absolutely atrocious. You know what? I'm gonna read it. You know what? I've already done this. I know I have, and I can't believe I have to do this again. I've already read this before. I've read this. I've said it. I've spoken this. I've definitely explained. So I've explained so many times. I mean, literally, like this. I don't even. Whatever. I know how this. Let me just do a little bit of plugging here. This book is going to be so great. It is literally, once again, not to brag about myself, I'm a pretty humble guy, but, they're already blocking my website, and I know that would happen, but, it's happening again, and once again, I think it's honorable. I mean, I'm not necessarily angry, I'm proud of it in a sense, because, that just shows that, once again, by telling the truth, and really by being truly morally accurate, we can, once again, promote freedom and prosperity. So let me describe what NESRA implements the following changes. And it is how is the most groundbreaking reformation to sweep not only this country but our planet in its entire history, to act as a way with the Federal Reserve Bank, the IRS, the shadow government, and much more. The NESRA, or NESARA, just to shorten it, implements the following changes: zeroes out all credit card, mortgage, and other bank debt due to illegal banking and government activities. This is the Federal Reserve's worst nightmare, a jubilee or a forgiveness of debt. Abolishes the income tax. 3. Abolishes the IRS. Employees of the IRS will be transferred into the U.S. Treasury National Sales Tax Area. 4. Creates a 14% flat rate, non-essential new items only sales tax revenue for the government. In other words, food and medicine will not be taxed, nor will used items such as old homes be taxed. Increased benefits to senior citizens. 6. Returns constitutional law to all courts and legal matters. 7. Reinstates the original title of nobility amendment. 8. Establishes new... This once again, let me remind you, was back in 2000, and then beforehand, but let me continue reading. Establishes new presidential and congressional elections within 120 days after NESRA's announcements. The interior government will cancel all national emergencies and return us back to constitutional law, monitors elections, and prevents illegal election activities of special interest groups. Creates a new U.S. Treasury rainbow currency backed by gold, silver, and platinum precious metals, ending the bankruptcy of the U.S. Initiated by Franklin Roosevelt in 1933. Forbids the sale of American birth certificate records as chattel property bonds by the U.S. Department of Transportation. Initiates new U.S. Treasury Bank system in alignment with the constitutional law. And limits the Federal Reserve during the transition period. The Federal Reserve will be allowed to operate side by side of the U.S. Treasury for 1 year in order to remove all Federal Reserve notes from the money supply, restores financial privacy, restrains all judges and attorneys in constitutional law, ceases all aggressive U.S. government military actions worldwide, establishes peace throughout the world, releases enormous sums of money for humanitarian purposes, enables the release of over 6,000 patents of suppressed technologies that are being withheld from the public under the guise of national security, including free energy devices, anti-gravity, and sonic healing machines. See, I've read this before. Once again, this literally is the crumbling downfall of the tyrannical and insane criminal oligarchy control. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I mean, once again, they've already fallen. So once again, let's move forward, like I've been saying, and lead on to. I mean, I don't like repeating myself, but let's explain a little bit exactly what happened on September 11th, 2001, alright? The next step is to announce, September 11, 2001, the next step is to announce NESRA to the world, but it's not an easy task. Many powerful groups have tried to prevent the implementation of NESRA. NESRA law requires that at least once a year an effort be made to announce the law to the public. 3 then current U.S. Supreme Court judges control the committee in charge of NESRA's announcement. These judges have used their overall authority to secretly sabotage NESRA's announcement. In 2001, after much negotiation, the Supreme Court justices ordered the 107th Congress to pass resolutions approving NESRA. This took place on September 9th, 2011, 18 months after NESRA became law. On September 10, 2001, George Bush Sr. moved into the White House to steer his son on how to block the announcement. The next day, on September 11, 2001, at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Alan Greenspan was scheduled to announce the new U.S. Treasury bank system, debt forgiveness for all U.S. citizens, and abolishment of the IRS as the first part of the public announcements of the NASRA. Just before the announcement at 9 a.m., Bush Sr. ordered the demolition of the World Trade Center's Twin Towers to stop the international banking computers on floors 1 and 2 in the North Tower from initiating the new U.S. Treasury bank system. Explosives in the World Trade Center were planted by operatives and detonated remotely in Building 7, which was demolished later that day in order to cover up their crime. Remote pilot technology was used in a flyover event to deliver a payload of explosives into the Pentagon at the exact location of the White Knights in their new Naval Command Center, who were coordinating activities supporting NASRA's implementation nationwide. With the announcement of NASRA stopped dead in its tracks, George Bush Sr. decapitated any hopes of returning the government back to the people. This says for the past 10 years, but now it's for the past 15 years. For the past 16 years. No, 15 years, life in the USA and numerous other countries have been dictated by the staged terrorist attack and its repercussions. Seldom does a day go by that we do not hear a mention of 9/11. So, there you go. There you have it. I summarized pretty much everything that I was going to talk about, pretty much, in just that 11-minute statement. So just literally in 10 minutes, I just changed the world. So let's explain it a little bit further, just to humor the social justice warriors. Nancy Pelosi, I'm just going to say, come on. Stop wasting your time. There's a repetition of phobias, fear this, fear that, you're a hater of this, anti-that, phobias over and over and over and over. Once again, there's more reasons and more ways to unify. There's no need to censor, no need to end, and no need to stop or shut down free speech. I'm just going to sum it up here. Truth will set you free. I've said it before, I honestly don't like beating the dead horse. I'd rather just move forward. And I move forward, for example, with what you can see on the website. And maybe people aren't ready for this, but if you really, really have that advanced mindset of thinking where you have the ability to not only have the desire to lead, for example, that I'm going to say InfoWars does, but really that I do. One of the things that I do, which is really, 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 really unique, I'm telling you, if you are up to the challenge, if you really want to lead or want to be led by a great leader such as I, go to my website. Try and use your own discernment to use the best tools possible to co-create a positive reality, co-create peace on earth. I basically give you a blueprint. Now, be aware I am basically getting you completely out of the matrix and allowing you to, in a sense, work to be more free, work to support liberty and freedom, and basically build it and establish it. Establish it meaning, in a sense, to, what's the word? In a sense, to really exercise freedom and liberty. So, once again, I'm your host. Come on, start thinking, I'm really excited. At the same time, I'm really angry. I'm absolutely furious, just livid about the craziness of just the absolute illegal elites, such as, and the type of agenda that they've been pushing for a very long time, which is known by those who know stuff, and Infowars.com, Milo, goodness gracious, sorry, I cannot pronounce his last name, David Knight, Matt Drudge, Michael Savage, Roger Stone have been explaining, come on, all this stuff it really ties into the big picture of, not just about how, the circumvention of globalists is to win, but actually how liberty and supporting the U.S. Constitution and then moving into that next stage of prosperity, which is obviously obvious when we have these great technologies such as free energy technology, sonic healing, and anti-gravity. Once again, it totally changes the way that we can promote freedom, but we have to work hard towards it, or else, once again, it's the I'm just gonna just be absolutely honest, the criminals' desire for power and the elitists' desire for power, the top 1%, they're gonna have the globalist control, and ultimately everybody loses. So either everybody wins or everybody loses. There just are people that just aren't out to get you, and those people, there's good parts in every single aspect of life, in other countries, in cities, and urban, suburban, and farmers, and blue collars, and even in the there's good people in Congress and good people in CIA and NSA, but once again, there's that example of that swamp just needs to be drained, and there's there's a political cartoon of it's a truck that's a swamp draining service, and in this just huge swamp is this big green monster that says the deep state, CIA on one shoulder, NSA on the other. It's got Rothschild swimming in the swamp and what looks like Nancy Pelosi and some other ugly guy with glasses. There's Hillary Clinton and some guy with FBI. You got the Bushes, you got rats in a boat, and on the boat it says MSM. You got Obama, who's like this fish dragon shark thing. You got the Bilderberg and someone holding up a vaccine. You got Soros on a tree as a vulture, but his head, his face, which is even uglier than the vulture's, is just perched on this little stick. You got the Federal Reserve in the swamp. You got the Rothschilds in the swamp. You got this octopus that's grabbing children. Obviously the pedophile network, all that stuff. I mean, come on. There's some really, 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 really bad things in the all over in this corporate oligarch of negativity. I mean, you got bad parts in the Google and in the UN, and it's not good. But guess what? We are winning on every side. You guys are champions. You are victors. You are making history. You are legends. All right, just be aware of that. All right. If you are aware that you're champions, if you're aware that you're a great leader toward this new renaissance, if you're aware of just being informed, if you have been blue pilled, for example, and for example have been enlightened by your own research or by Paul Joseph Watson, and you're in these younger generations, let me just tell you something. You have no idea exactly how big your legacy already is. You have no idea. You won't know, and it's so big. I mean, once again, your imagination, which is the beautiful thing about imagination, it's going to struggle to grasp just the magnitude of how epically your existence is, how important every breath that you take is. And just, it's no pressure, because guess what? I mean, you're in the right. You're doing the right thing. I mean, just knowing the truth, being informed, and I'm telling you, you're fine. You're fine. All right? You're in good hands, too. It's a win-win situation. So, I'm going to end it there. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Take care.